Hey everyone, today we're going to do fermenting, and this is kind of an interesting subject for people. Some of you have been doing it for years, and a lot of people that I talk to are really afraid to try it. So I'm going to hopefully take the fear out of it. It's a very simple process, and I just want to read you some of my notes. Lactic acid is a natural preservative that inhibits putrefying bacteria. And starches and sugars in fruits and vegetables are converted to lactic acid by natural bacteria. So that's bacteria in the air, on our hands, on the fruits and vegetables, and that kind of thing. They're everywhere. Same as yeast. When we make sourdough bread, which is also fermented, there's yeast in the air, there's yeast on our skin, and mixing the flour and water with our hands or just our presence produces that natural fermentation. So what happens is that the vegetables, the sugar in the vegetable and the starch in the vegetable creates the lactic acid and preserves the vegetable. So here I've got a whole bunch of different fermented foods that I have done, but I just want to mention what are fermented foods. Chocolate is a fermented food. The beans, before they're processed, after they've been picked, are fermented, and then they're roasted. Wine is fermented. Coffee is fermented. Cheese is a fermented food, and especially if you look for raw cheese, in France you can get raw cheese. There's lots of raw cheese. Because the French understand the benefit of the fermentation process. Here we're all afraid of bacteria, so you can only purchase cheese that has aged for 6 months. And if you go to Whole Foods, for example, it'll say, they have a little sign that'll tell you that it's raw, and that's really the best cheese to buy, because that means the bacteria and everything is alive, and you'll benefit from that fermentation. And then there's fermented vegetables, which we're going to do today. There's sourdough bread that I mentioned. In other cultures, there is many other types of fermented foods. Tempeh, fermented soy. Well, tempeh is fermented soy, but it's from Indonesia. And then, of course, fermented soybean products. Miso is fermented, and it's a wonderful flavor, umami flavor to add to foods. So we're going to do that in the next class. And then there's the drinks, kombucha, which are very popular right now. Kvass, beet kvass, which is very simple, and I've given you a recipe for that. Very, very detoxifying. And kefir, or water kefir, is another one, and that is made with the bacteria that you can actually see. So for example, if you make kombucha, there is an actual, it looks like a disc that is the actual bacteria, and with water kefir there are granules, and so that's how that works. So what I have here is, I'll just show you what's in my fridge, okay? First of all, I have sauerkraut. And I bought it from Costco. It's non-GMO, it's wild brine. Why didn't I make it? Because you go to Costco and you buy things that you don't really need, so that's why. But you know, this is one of those things, we actually use this a lot. I give it to my dogs every day, a little spoonful to help with their stomachs. And you know, it's just one of those things that you can purchase and you don't have to make. But what I really love is all the fermented vegetables. That's really my favorite. So I have here, these are fermented cranberries. I made these in November. They are still popping, juicy, crunchy, delicious. And they've got cinnamon, star anise, all kinds of things in them. So you can toss them in a chicken salad, for example. Then I have the pickled vegetables that I just made, and I'm gonna take this apart and show you. I have creme fraiche, which I've given you the recipe for, which is simply cream, heavy cream, and you inoculate it with bacteria. And in this case, I use yogurt. So you use, well, you have the recipe, but a couple tablespoons to a cup of cream, You leave it out on your counter, covered up, out of sunlight for a day or two. Seems counterintuitive, but that's how the healthy bacteria grows. So that's the creme fraiche. I have preserved lemons, which are just lemons quartered with salt, and they produce the most unreal lemon flavor. And so this is a condiment that you just actually use the rind and add it to dishes. It's really delicious. So maybe I'll add that today to what I'm doing. This is a Moroccan tradition. And every culture has their own fermenting traditions, every culture. Here I have limes that I fermented with, okay, it's citrus season. Actually, I did this last year. These are almost a year old. But now's the time to ferment lemons and limes and things like that, okay? Then I have the last of my kumquats. I did this last year, and these are fabulous because kumquats are so floral and flavorful. So I fermented them with a vanilla bean and some star anise, and I slice them and use them on salads, with chicken, all kinds of things, in a cocktail. And the last thing I did, I tried, just wanted to see what would happen, is these little finger limes, which are from Australia. And you can't even eat the actual skin, but these things smell like lime cherry soda. I don't know how to explain it. It's so floral, and they have these little, I don't know if you can see this, but just little like caviar beads that you can put on things, or again, you can use them in cocktails. They're amazing. And the fermentation is what really brings out the flavor. So I'm just going to show you. Let's see. Let me get a bowl. I got the bowl. Okay. So this is what I started last week. Okay. Now I have two different things that you can use. Let's see. Where's the other one? What did I do with it? Right here. Okay. So there's a couple different tops you can use. I'll just go over all the particulars and then we'll get started with actually making it. So this is by Crowdsource, and it's fancy, but it really works. Okay. So the idea behind fermenting these vegetables is they have to be submerged in water. You don't want any air. So I can stick a knife down here, and what happens is it starts to ferment and you get these little air bubbles. So I don't know if you can see that. It starts to look like soda water. So in here, this is what I made last week. I used my fresh onions from the farmer's market, and so these will be, I can use these for pickled onions. I put carrots in here. But the main thing is I put watermelon radishes. So doesn't it look like watermelon? I mean, the color is just crazy. So here's a watermelon radish. It's lost a lot of its color, but the color has actually, kind of gone into here, into the liquid. So, and then what I added, I just sliced carrots and the watermelon and the onion. So I'll pull out a carrot. I just did a little sliced carrot. So this is kind of a pickle. And then I added tarragon because I thought it would be nice with spring vegetables. And then I added pink peppercorns because I don't know, the radishes were pink peppercorns. I thought that might be kind of nice. So that's what this is. And this will be fabulous chopped up in salads. It'll be great as a little side condiment. So in order to keep the vegetables immersed, I've got this great little contraption. Okay, so here it is, and you stick this in. This gets screwed on with the cap, like this. Okay, And this keeps it down. So this weighs all the vegetables down and makes sure they're under. Then there's a little moat right here, and you put a little water in there, and then you put this on. This is all surgical steel, and this keeps it completely submerged. So this is a great tool. And I'm gonna get this out of the way. But I'm gonna show you another option. That one's a little bit expensive, especially if you're starting out and you're not sure what you think about the whole process. So I'm gonna do something with kind of Mexican flavors, okay? So first thing is, I think I've showed most of you this before, but just in case, this is how I peel carrots. I put the base down, put paper towel, and I peel my carrots dry. I haven't washed them. If you wash them, then the peel gets stuck in the peeler and it gets stuck to the carrot. Now it's nice and dry. Now I can wash my carrot, okay? And so I've got a bunch of carrots that I've already washed, and I'm just going to slice them. So this will be a little bit like the Mexican pickled vegetables or salsa that you can get, pickled salsa, not tomato salsa, that are really nice with Mexican food, tacos, that kind of thing. Okay, so this takes, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes to put this together from beginning to end. I don't need my glasses on anymore. And so I'm going to slice a bunch of carrots. And then we'll do, I've got my beautiful onion from the farmer's market that is fresh. I think I'll just wash it. Doesn't need to be peeled. And actually this side needs to be peeled. Okay. So I try and start vegetables, fermented vegetables, before I run out, and it takes about a week. If you want to try sauerkraut, doing sauerkraut, that actually really takes longer, primarily because if you're not used to eating it, sauerkraut can make you very gassy, and the sauerkraut takes a lot longer to ferment to a point where it's not going to really affect your stomach. So that's why I really like the vegetables. So I could do these in slices. I could chop them. I'll do slices. Okay. And we'll do both sides. And then we're going to do a little bit of cabbage because I have it. Okay. And then, okay, so for cabbage, the way this is a little bit old there. The way I like to peel it is, first of all, or slice it for sauerkraut. Take out the core. And then you've got these little angles here. So this is just a trick to get it really, really thin. Is I slice it like this, and then when it gets difficult with the knife, I turn it. I keep turning it so that it hits those angles. So here's an angle right here. And it just helps you to get a nice thin slice. Now, if this seems like too much work, go back to the vegetables. Doing the vegetables are probably the easiest. And you can be really creative. You can be creative with the sauerkraut, and you can be creative with the vegetables in terms of what flavors you really enjoy. So we're going to add this cabbage. This I'll save for the dogs because they like cabbage. And okay, now I want this to have, like I said, kind of a Mexican flavor. But if I use cilantro, the leaves, they get kind of soggy. So what I do is I use the stems. Okay, so I'm going to use maybe half a bunch of cilantro stems. They're all washed. And I'm just they're gonna look like chives. I'm gonna cut them into little chives. And these will actually stay crunchy through the fermentation process. So we'll add those, maybe a little more. I want just the little chives. Okay. And so I have done fermented grapes. Those are wonderful with bay leaves. Sounds weird, but it's really good. All right, well, okay, how about should I do a jalapeno stuff? Okay, we'll do a jalapeno. I'm kind of a sissy, so we're gonna take the seeds out. Okay, because I don't like things I like a little bit of heat, but not a lot. So I'm just gonna take the seeds out. The seeds and the inside veins are also spicy, so you really want to get rid of those too if you're a wimp like me. Okay, so we're gonna do one jalapeno. This won't be too spicy like this. Okay. And oh, I have some golden beets. We'll do a golden beet because they're pretty. And I'll just slice it. Well, okay, maybe I'll slice it and cut them in half. How about that? Okay, this is gonna be good. I'll go like that, it's easier. Okay, so we have golden beet. Now, you could just do one thing, okay? You could just do celery. You could just do onions. You could just do the beets. I also like to ferment garlic, and what I do is I buy okay, here I have some garlic from the farmer's market, but if you buy the organic, already peeled garlic from Costco, for example, and plop it in a jar with the salt brine and ferment it. Now you've got garlic that you don't have to peel, and it actually becomes less pungent, really delicious, and you can use that in your cooking. You can use it raw. It's already peeled. Super convenient. Okay, so we're gonna do some baby garlic. We'll put a whole head in there. Okay, that's gonna get too coarse, too tough. Okay, and I think that is about it. Let's see. Yeah, I could do some celery too. So last thing is we're gonna season it. So I'm gonna do some lime zest, like so. Like that. And then I have some coriander seeds, and what I did was I put them on the stove in a dry pan with high heat, and I just shook them around until I could hear them starting to pop, and I could smell the oils coming out. So we've got coriander seeds. I've got some oregano. We'll throw that in. Okay, I'm just making this up, okay? And this is what you can do. Maybe half a teaspoon of oregano. Rub it together to release the oils. Last thing I'm gonna add is I have these crazy peppers that I get in France, all sorts of peppers. So I'm gonna throw those in. I have no idea what they're gonna do. Okay, so toss this. Get it really mixed up, like so. And then we're gonna add it to a clean jar. And let's see if I can do it this way. And then, okay, I probably should do it over this. And then use a knife to just kind of press it down. You can also use, sometimes I use a rolling pin because it fits in there perfectly. Okay, so I'm probably going to have enough for 2 jars here. Let's get some more carrots, the beets. So I'll post this. I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, all of the seeds and things are at the bottom, so I'll get down there and get some of those. There we go. All right. Now we're going to add the brine, and the brine is simply water and salt. I use purified water like this. If you have a purifier at home, then use that. And then you want to use a natural salt. So you can use sea salt, you can use Himalayan salt, anything that has color really has not been processed. I am using right now, I have this Redmond Real Salt, which is from Utah, full of minerals, and you can actually see the minerals that haven't really dissolved in the bottom. It almost looks like dirt. Okay, last thing, I want to make sure that these vegetables are covered and there's no air pockets in here. Okay, I think I have a little bit too much. I'll take a little bit out. Okay. So I'm just gonna make sure there's no air. Just kind of move it around, get the little bubbles to come up. Okay. Needs to be covered, like I said. You want it to come to about like right around the lip. Okay, now this is going to start to come alive. It's going to start to bubble. So the other tool that I like to use is this. It's a glass weight. It is called Pickle Pebble. They have 2 different sizes, one for the wide mouth and a small mouth. It gets dropped in here like so. Need a little room. And then what you need is, there. Well, I don't have it. I don't have a ring. What you need is the ring like this, okay? And you screw it on, and you screw it on loosely, because this is going to start to breathe. Sorry. Hey, you guys. It's going to start to bubble. So you want to leave this loose, tie it on, and then leave it a little bit loose so that liquid can escape. And then what I do is I put it in a bowl or on a plate with deep sides, cover it. You want it to be out of the sunlight, and let it go to work. You can check on it. It's going to leak. You're going to have liquid around the edges because it's doing its thing, right? It's bubbling away. Maybe check on it once or twice, and in about a week, it'll be ready. So this guy I did about a week ago, and it's ready. It tastes like pickles. It's delicious, okay? And then after that, you can keep it in the fridge, and it'll keep for months. And that is it. So if you have questions about this, let's talk about it. I really want to encourage you to try it. Think about your favorite flavors. Do you like German flavors like cabbage, onion, and caraway? Do you like Indian flavors? You could add ginger and turmeric, etc. Do you like Asian flavors? So there's, you know, all kinds of ways that you can make this your own. You can add fresh ginger. And sorry, I don't have a lid. I'll find one. Okay, that's it.